a small incident. Okay, everybody, we finally made it. Good to be with you guys today. Let me adjust this volume here. Let's see where we at. Here. And it should be what we are looking for. Yep, I see. Stand by, everybody. I'm adjusting the output here. I think that's a bit better. One more time. And there we should be. I think. Hold on, everybody. Let me get these. Let me see. Let me hear some feedback here. Because I can't hear. Make sure that we have good sound. And it's not whistling. I think that's a bit better. Oh, yeah. That's good. Okay, everybody. That should do it. One more step, maybe. Too loud? Are we good to go? Good? Okay. All right, everybody. I finally got to you guys. I've been dealing with Verizon for the last 2 days. We had a number, but the number didn't work. I called that number, somebody else's phone rang. That was no good. So, don't worry. They're working on it. They have the number. They should have everything in there and worked out here shortly. And we'll get that up there for you. That number is going to be very useful. Number, we still have another 2. We're going to put everything, all the numbers in one area. If you guys don't mind, let's go to, I know things are happening today, right? I know. Oh, by the way, you guys on the East Coast, this storm is tracking a bit northerly than first expected. I know with their forecasting, but be prepared. This storm is not a joke. And it's going to have a, normally when storms hit the East Coast, they speed up due to some high pressure driver. This time we have Arctic winds, right? Every time you have Arctic winds like that, you start to have these moisture traps for the storm itself. That means you guys may experience some very heavy snows. Very heavy snows. So be careful about that. Make sure that you take heed. If you have anything to get, those of you on the East Coast, go ahead and get it. I wouldn't play around with this storm if I were you. And, of course, we have more storms on the way. So we're going to make up for our snow deficit, actually. We have a deficit in moisture with the snows, and I'm going to have that after this storm. And if this is any indication of what will happen this summer, you guys better really, really prepare. This summer's not, it's going to be brutal. Lots of heat, right? And we know that even in, today I was reading in 2 Thessalonians, and when the Lord comes back, he'll come back with fervent heat. You know, it always gives this description of the Lord coming back. But do you guys know, the one time he comes back, it'll be for you and against everybody else. Do you know that? So he comes back as your freedom, right? But for everybody else, he's coming back and it will be a disaster. It will be. It'll be hot. He's coming back with cloud, yes, but also flames. Very hot flames. This earth is going to go through a progression of degradations by fire, which means that process is already beginning. It is not going to begin. It's already beginning. There will be many totally unprepared for what's coming, right? But it was meant to be that way, not out of cruelty, not that. This is out of love. One thing you have to know about those who don't make it, period, they operate by a very ancient spirit. Please understand that, right? Very ancient spirit. Some of you guys, you may not be happy with the selection of those who make it versus those who don't. I'll tell you something. Those who do not make it, they have a hatred toward you that will not end. Those who won't make it, they have jealousy in them, even of Christ. They do. But the one thing they share with all darkness is their hatred of all things Christ. And if you take careful note of this world, many things have their hatred geared toward Christ. The removal of Christ from many things in the USA, many things in Europe. Europe is the home of the upside-down cross. Do you guys know that? And there are so many churches in Europe with upside-down crosses. All of this, all of it, it's going to be made known. And as of late, people are passing policies. They're sealing the deal for their own doom. They are. Through their policies. Policies of iniquity. These are folks who are in power. They have an opportunity to do what's right. But they will not recognize the Most High. And so to appease people for the sake of admiration of men and women, right? They pass laws that are abominations to the Most High. And they will be fully accountable for that. Fully. There will be no peace for them. But for you, he's coming back for you, the elect. You guys who still believe, you guys who still confess that Jesus has come in the flesh. You guys had to depend upon the cross for salvation. You guys that continue to press forward for the mark of the high calling. He's coming back for you. I like the book of Enoch when it says he will make peace with the elect. He'll make peace with the elect. That is beautiful. But for those who have spoken ungodly things against the Most High, woe to them. Every woe in Revelation is toward them. It is for them, not for you. That's why you should never be afraid of what era that you live in. There's a benefit for those who go and a benefit for those who may have to stay behind a little bit. It is. It is. And it's also probably why some people continue to ask, why doesn't Mike talk about the rapture? Somebody asked me that the other day. And I simply said, well, show me where Jesus spoke about the rapture. Show me. They got angry and I said, before you get angry, the Lord did not speak about the rapture because from beginning to end, all his speech is about our deliverance. All of his speech. All right? Jesus did not speak about a rescue because he is the one who is charged with bringing the judgment. Never be afraid of what the Lord brings to this world. He is justice. You don't have to run from him or running to him. Right? When folks talk about the rapture in a lot of cases, it's almost like they talk about fleeing the earth. You don't have to flee the earth. He gives you a mindset to run away. We're not to run away. We're running toward Christ, not away. Right? It's a popular idea, yes. And a lot of people who believe that, I've noticed something. When you That word rapture, is it false? No, it isn't. It's not false. It really isn't false. Sometimes it can be false in the sentiment it's spoken, because we don't have to escape. People have the wrong idea. Sometimes they think Satan is bringing all of this mishap to the world. No, he isn't. Revelation is a combination of the Lord's decrees upon mankind in the earth. You don't have to run away from the Most High. You don't have to escape anything from the Most High. We run to him, not away from him, right? That's why I don't talk about that, because it emphasizes the idea of escape. There is nothing to escape. Think about it. If those are alive at the time when he comes to get us at the last trump, if you're alive, you'll be forever changed. Right? Be forever changed. If you're not alive at that time, you've already been taken like the countless trillions who have already gone. Trillions of people who are with the Lord right now. Trillions of people who are with the Lord. Isn't that something? Every day somebody goes, a friend of mine, just yesterday, he was studying for a sermon. His wife went back in his study to go and get him, and he was gone. He was gone peacefully. He went studying for a sermon to give. He was preaching a sermon on Sunday, and he went right before that. That is, he finished his race and finished well and peacefully. Peacefully, very peacefully. There's no better way to go than that. Now, that may sound morbid to some of you, and it's because you have not yet realized there is a promise of death upon everybody who lives here. That is to say, not death as in eternal death, but to leave this flesh. All of us will leave the bodies we're in, and all of our bodies will go back to the earth in some way, form, or fashion. If the Lord comes and you're alive, your body must be transformed. You must be in a new vessel. You will not inhabit this one. But he finished his race. And that is beautiful. That is beautiful. One day we all have to go. We do. We all have to go. And if you know that one day you have to go and you'll be with the Lord, right? It enriches your walk here on this earth. Why? Because you'll be walking in truth, not deceit. It is a deceit to believe that you're going to live forever. It is. It is fear that causes someone to want to live forever on this earth. That's fear. It's also partly because people still enjoy those things in the earth. Have an understanding that the Lord has something for your children. He has something for your spouses. He has something for your grandchildren. And if you were to go, no, you're not going to go anywhere until Jesus says you're ready to go. He has the keys of hell and death and the grave. He determines when you go. And he's got a plan for your children. He's got a plan for your grandchildren. He's got a plan for your friends. He's going to work with them intimately just as he worked with you. They're going to have their ups and downs, all for salvation. All of it. That's why I never discuss the rapture. There's no need. No need. If you guys joined a team, would your everyday conversation be when the team disbands because everything is over? Or would your conversation be about the things you do as a team? In my case, I don't talk about all the time what's going to happen when everything is over here. But I find it useful to speak about those things that help refine us, that help us walk better in truth, to complement the search that many have for Christ in this day now. Right? Matter of fact, let's read 2 Thessalonians to refresh everybody's mind, shall we? We can do that. But of the times and seasons, brethren, You have no need that I write down to you. For ye yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. Now I know that many people say, hey, a thief and a knife is on, this day and that day and this day. You know what? There's no need for me to know the date when the Lord is coming. The Lord doesn't even know the date. God has not given it to the angels, no, not even the Son. Only God knows when he will send the Son. And the Son will simply comply. And there's really no need to know that date. Do you know why? Because he comes as a thief in the night. And what does that mean? What does that mean? It said right here in 1 Thessalonians 5:2, 1 Thessalonians 5:2, for yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travaileth upon a woman with child. They shall not escape. He just told you when he's coming back. He just told you. You ready? He's coming back when they shall say peace and safety. He's coming back when they have accomplished their plans. He's coming back when their power is going forward in the earth. They're very close to that. They're forging their own way. Now, why would that be the case? By the way, a thief in the night means when the world is not looking for him. When the world is not looking for him. And it's kind of like right now, isn't it? To come as a thief in the night is to come at a time when the thief is active. Do you know that, don't you? So a thief in the night, they come at opportune times. By the way, they do. They come in the night. You're not children of the night. So we're going to get into this. Here we are. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travaileth upon a woman with child. They shall not escape. 1 Thessalonians 5:4. But ye, brethren, are not in the darkness, that day should overtake you as a thief. There it is. You're not in the darkness, that day should overtake you as a thief. What is being in darkness? What do you want to know? What is that? Here we are. But ye, brethren, are not in the darkness, that day should overtake you as a thief. Ye are all children of the light, and children of the day. We are not of the night, nor of darkness. Therefore let us not sleep as do others, but let us watch and be sober. What is watching and being sober? That means you are on a purposed walk toward the Lord. Being in the night is being among those who do things like you're in the night. Sin. You're not sinful children who look for every opportunity to sin. You don't come out at nighttime because you think you cannot be seen. Well, that's when the high rate of iniquity is happening. At night it is. You're children of the day. Do you see that? So when the children of the night come out, when iniquity has flourished all over the earth, when people are doing things in the day as though it is the night, like they're doing right now, he's coming. He's coming. He's coming. He's coming. And when he comes, all those things in Revelation will be wrapped up. They'll begin to happen, and no one will escape that time. No one. So then, when they say peace and safety, is because they're outspoken. They have accomplished certain plans. It is a time of high iniquity. It is in the night. And the Lord will come as a thief in the night. He's coming unknown to those who dwell in the night. Unknown to them. But what about you? It says, ye are all children of the light, and the children of the day. We are not of the night nor of the darkness. Therefore let us not sleep as do others, but let us watch and be sober. So it just described the activities of those who dwell in the day. They watch and are sober. You're ready. To be sober is to be prepared. To watch is to have a specific mindset. Listen to me. That means your mind is not on how you can get away with this and get away with that and get away with the other thing, or to cause this to happen against this guy, plotting your revenge upon this, that, and the other, trying to covet or get somebody's goods over here or over there. No. Your mind is on the law of the Lord. Your mind is on your Father's kingdom. Your mind is on your own personal refinement in this life. Your mind is reflective of what the Lord has delivered you from. Your mind is going forward with the Lord. You are going forward with the Lord. You're not searching out those things in the night, but you're actually preparing yourselves for the arrival of Christ. You're actually practicing, choosing to do good and not evil, catching the deeds of sinful flesh within yourselves and saying, nope, not today. Overcoming various things in your life. You're growing every single day. He's not going to catch you unawares. Why? Because you're walking toward him right now, every day of your life. If I looked to conform to my adoptive family every single day, right? Say I was adopted. And in that family is a parent. He's very strict. He's very kind. But he's also strict. And he goes away on a long journey. Right? And I want to fit into the family. Now, all the kids there are adopted. Except for some who are naturally family. The ones who are naturally family, they feel, because they're family, they can do anything they want. They're going to be accepted anyway. Right? The ones who are adopted, they want to fit into the family. So you have good children who want to fit into the family, who every day they learn about the family. They learn about the dad. They learn about the standards and the ways of that family because they fully want to be adopted. They want to be a part of that family, right? They know the family they came from. They didn't quite like that one. That's why they're in that adoptive situation in the first place. And so they begin to adopt all the characteristics of the family patriarch, which is the dad, right? To do everything decent and in order, all those good things. But you have the other bad children who tolerate everything every day. They're full of complaints. Listen to me. They're full of complaints. They complain about everything. And when nobody's looking, they want to do what they want to do when nobody's looking. They act like they're part of the family because they need the roof over their heads. They need the food every single day. And they know that if they mess that up, they won't be able to eat and they won't have a roof over their head. So what they find themselves doing is conforming to everything to satisfy the patriarch of the family, right? So they can eat and have a roof over their head. So essentially, they don't want to be a part of that family. They want what the family has. And they'll do anything to look like they're part of that family. But inside, they're full of complaints. Inside, there's no peace. Inside, they're grievous against that family. They have something to say about everybody in that family. Isn't that just like a bad child, huh? They're only being nice because they want the food. They want to be fed. They're only being nice because they want a roof over their heads. The moment nobody's looking, they start speaking their complaints. They have something to say about everybody. Those are the bad kids. The good kids, they have their eyes focused on the family. They want to fully integrate. And so every day they work in learning how the family operates, what the family says is good and what's not good. And they really give it a try. They stumble along the way, but the point is they want to fully integrate. They're not being a part of that family so they can eat. They're not being a part of the family so they have a roof over their heads, because if that family began to struggle, they would still pursue being a part of that family. So they really want to be a part of that family. They have no complaints. They only learn. They do chastise themselves. Oh, I messed up. That's nothing like my family. I can't do that. I got to stop doing that. So they're breaking old habits. They are. In fact, they're breaking away from the old person they used to be. They're breaking away from that. Now, the bad kids are not like that. The good kids watch for the patriarch to come home. Why? Why? Because they want the patriarch to see them, and they want to see him. They want to hear his word. They're wondering, is he fully going to accept them or not? Take note of this. They're wondering if he's fully going to accept them or not. Why? Because they have a heart to be in that family. What about the bad kids? The longer the patriarch stays away, the better they are. Why? Because all they want is what that family has. Inside, they could care less about that family. They only conform to the family so they can continue to eat, so they can have a roof over their heads. Christians in this world are the exact same way. You have some who believe in Christ, who pursue Christ, who grow, who chastise themselves. They really want to be a part of the family. They really want to honor the living God. When they pray, they ask for strength to overcome certain things in their lives. They do. And then you have those who look like Christians but are not. They have something to say about everybody. The only reason they're acting good and not sinning, because they believe if they start sinning, they're going to lose what they have and be cut off from getting anything else. So their position in Christianity, they are there to consume whatever they get. They follow Christ to get things, and when they don't get it, they get depressed. When they pray, they don't get what they want, they get depressed. They feel that they should be able to do what's in the Bible and receive everything in the Bible, and when they don't get it, they're ready to call the Bible flawed. They start following other things. They alter the doctrine. What about the good children? When they pray and they don't get it, they look for wisdom. And why? They start to see themselves. They always see themselves. They never see outside of themselves. But the other ones, when they don't get what they want, they think the Bible's flawed. They're the same ones that say, I've met every qualification and I still didn't get it. Right? Why? Because they follow the Lord to get things. They follow the Lord for selfish reasons. They're following him in the hopes that he will grant them everything they want, like he's a genie in a bottle. They have everything to say about every other saint. Why? Because inside them is a master complaint. The Lord described such children. But the good children, they're pursuing Christ every single day. They really want to be a part of the family. They honor the Lord. So they find value in everybody. They're getting over who they used to be. They're stepping into new ground. And they always have this one thing within themselves. They'll always say, am I ever going to make it? Am I ever going to be right? I have to do better. I know I have to do better, but I'm messing up pretty bad here. And it really hurts them deeply inside because they feel they're not conforming to the family. Somebody who does that, anybody who would get upset like that because they keep having missteps. They didn't get upset because they didn't receive something on this prayer or something that scripture said. No, they're getting upset because they keep misstepping. That person has a heart for the family. The ones who can scarcely believe that the Lord would die for them in the first place. The ones who they can't even put that together fully yet. Why would somebody die for me? And they recognize the love of Christ. Those are people who want to be in his family. But notice his own children. His own children by entitlement. They feel they can do anything they want. They're still going to heaven. They're still part of the family. Why? Because they were born family of blood. The same thing happened when Christ came back. He said he came to his own and his own received him not. So they were blinded. They were. He came unto his own, and they did not receive him. But why? It's the same reason the Pharisees did not know they were looking at Christ. Spiritually blinded. They did everything through entitlement. Didn't you notice? They thought they were entitled. They did. While the apostles were truly, truly thankful for what the Lord had done for them. The ones who were truly his by entitlement thought they had done enough, that they were keepers of the family traditions, that they would impose the family traditions upon anybody else, that they had the final say on who could be a part of the family. And when Christ came, he said, nope. This is not by entitlement. This is by the Spirit. They didn't like that message. Remember, they couldn't even notice him. Even today, right now, by entitlement, many things are set forth. But to those who are the Gentiles, who walked away from everything of the Gentiles to be a part of the family, you're changing, adopting, learning. You're hoping. And the Lord becomes the greatest hope that we have. You're truly called because you know you don't fit back in the world. That's not what you really wanted. You were born in families too, but you didn't quite fit. You were different inside. You couldn't explain it. Then you answered the calling of Christ, and you followed. And you said, this must be it. This is within me. And then, of course, you stumble along the way. That's what the blood of the Lamb is for. But in your heart of hearts, you're pursuing a relationship with Christ, to be a part of him, to honor him. You love what he did at the cross. You recognize that. Those who are true children, and those who pursue Christ, they walk a specific way every single day. There's not a day that goes by you're not thinking about Christ. There's something in your life that you will recognize, that you will know that you have to overcome, and you pursue him even the more. That's why I always say the Lord has you, and you're children of the day. You're not living your life to scheme, to plot, to plan for provision anymore. Because that's what people used to do. They would scheme, they would plot, they would plan for provision. You don't do that anymore. You don't want that anymore. You want the Lord. You may even be close to me. There's so many days I would just love a world where money did not exist. Although it does, yes. But I would rather it did not. Because if it didn't exist, the motive of people would be different. If it didn't exist. And one day, it's not going to exist. So you have a heart. So that's why it says you're children of the day. You don't sleep in the night, as do others. Right? It says, for they that sleep in the night, they that be drunken are drunken in the night. Drunken is saturated with the night, with darkness. Every thought, a scheme, some sort of concept for tomorrow to get something out of somebody else. Right? It's very easy to see any activities like that. It says, but let us who are of the day be sober, putting on the breastplate of faith and of love, and for an helmet the hope of salvation. For God hath not appointed us to wrath, but to obtain salvation by our Lord Jesus Christ. He has not appointed you to wrath. That's why you shouldn't be scared of the wrath to come. That's not for you. That is not for any of you who are pursuing Christ. That's for those who live by entitlement. That's for those who reject everything on the light. For God hath not appointed us to wrath, but to obtain salvation by our Lord Jesus Christ, who died for us. Whether we wake or sleep, we should live together with him. Whether we are alive or have passed, we will live together with him. Wherefore comfort yourselves together and edify one another, even also ye do. And we beseech you, brethren, to know them which labor among you, and are over you in the Lord, and admonish you, and to esteem them very highly in love for their works' sake. And be at peace among yourselves. You hear that? For their works' sake. Works' sake. You know what that means? When you esteem each other for their works' sake. That you don't esteem each other because one has a better suit than the other. Because one has a better car than the other. No, for their works' sake. What kind of work? It must be the work of holiness. Not how things look, but what's operating between you and them. The laboring of them in the Word of God. Not to memorize traditional sayings of men, but to labor in the Word that the Holy Spirit will fill a person with the truth. Because you can recognize that when it comes from the Holy Spirit and when it's coming from people. If you get bedazzled by some clever sayings, how is that holiness? But when you hear something that is true, and it manifests in your life, that's of your Father. So you can look at that person knowing that they labor, right? You can do each other like that for their work's sake, not for their looks' sake. Now we exhort you, brethren, warn them that are unruly, comfort the feeble-minded, support the weak, be patient toward all men. 1 Thessalonians 5:14 is extremely important. Listen, warn them that are unruly. Just warn them. It did not say to go and overlord over them. When somebody is unruly, of course you got to let them know. If you love that person, you're going to let them know that those activities are going to lead them straight to death itself. Right? In fact, when your children are unruly, why would you ever correct them or spank them? The only reason I would ever spank a child is if they have done something that will truly, totally upend their lives in the future. That's an act of discipline, right? I would never do that in anger, because I would never correct a child when I'm angry, because if I was angry, I'm compromised, and there's no love in that. When you correct a child in love, it is effective. When you correct a child out of anger, you provoke the child. No matter what you think you did, you're provoking your child. Some of you remember being spanked and it provoked you. It made you not like your parents. Some of you were spanked and it made you thankful. See the difference? Because you knew where they were coming from. You knew that they spanked you so that you would not go off in that path. You're very grateful for that. But some of you were spanked, and you can't stand your parent for that because you knew they spanked you for themselves, that they corrected you for themselves, that they were tired, that they were aggravated, and you became the punching bag. Children know the difference. They do. Warn the unruly, comfort the feeble-minded. A feeble-minded person is not someone to make fun of. Suppose a person cannot comprehend things like you, right? Suppose they get all nervous when it comes to certain passages, and you realize this person truly may not be able to put it together or understand it. Comfort them by telling them the truth. Don't sit there and let them stumble and stammer in things they don't understand and then stand up and correct them like you're their overlord. There's that term again. No, comfort them with kindness, tolerance, and all patience. Sit down with them and tell them the truth so they understand, so they can embrace it. The more you comfort those who are feeble-minded, the less they're going to be feeble-minded. Did you know that? Normally when a person is feeble-minded, they're full of anxieties. when you're full of anxieties, you can't really think straight. You get rid of that anxiety by way of love and truth and much patience. People do that with elderly folks. If you know somebody who's 80, 90 years old, right? Sometimes even 70. Well, in these days, in their same age, you know, in our bracket, the 60s and 70s, and people are, sometimes they're so full of anxieties, they seem feeble-minded, right? Be patient with them. Full of love. To explain to them the truth. Always do it on their time. Never force it. That's why you have to be patient. Because the key is to comfort them, right? In truth. It says support the weak. What is a weak person? A weak person is someone who may not be able to get certain areas of their life right. A person who may not be able to figure out some of the routines of this world to survive. There are lots of people in this world who have beautiful hearts, but they're weak-minded when it comes to the world. You guys have been raised in the world. You know what the world expects, and so guess what? You can navigate the world. Do you know not everybody can do that? Not everybody has a heart nor the wherewithal to navigate in the world. You know what that means? They can't go out there and make funds like you. They can't go out there and support themselves like you. They cannot do that. They're no good at doing that. They don't know how to do that. They will be used and abused in a heartbeat by way of their labor if that happened. They don't know how to do that. So support them. They're weak in that area. There are some who are weak in the area of faith. Be very supportive. Supportive does not mean uphold the wrong in them. That's not what it means. Supportive means having an understanding of their situation. And then you take up in those areas they may have a weakness in. That's supportive. Be supportive. And it says be patient toward all men. Not some, all men. If you can do this one thing, be patient towards all men. There are no more arguments. None. There's no more bitterness. None. You'll never leave anyone with a sour taste in their mouth. You won't. Now, they can be sour toward you, but you will no longer be the cause. And you'll also do things in truth. Do you know that when you rush a situation because you don't have time for that person, that's not operating in truth, is it? It's not. Do you know how many times we've done that? How many times have we rushed a person off because we had better things to do? That's not sowing truth. That is a strategy to get somebody out of your immediate vicinity because you don't have the mindset to deal with them. It's also not showing love. So be patient toward all men. See that none render evil for evil unto any man. Oh boy. See that none render evil to evil for evil unto any man. How can someone do that? Well, I'll tell you. Suppose someone says something in regards to you, they say it in regards to you, and you say, I know they said that, and that was against me. So what you do, because you can't let that go, is you bring that up in a conversation of people, brand new people, they don't even know, and you get them back by doing the exact same thing. When you do that, you open up the doorway to conflict. There will be a conflict. Right? That's no good. Always operate within love, not revenge. When you're vengeful, when you want to get somebody back, ladies, I say ladies because ladies have a big issue with this. Ladies have a huge issue with letting things go. You have a big issue with letting God do his thing and you leave it alone because you don't know. When you're looking at a situation, and that situation you perceive to be against you, you may not know this, but about 80% of the time you're wrong. Do you know that? Now let me give you an awful scenario. See, you're really wrong 80% of the time when you think that somebody is doing something against you, because you put their activities together and you say, well, they're doing this against me on purpose. Suppose you're wrong. And in your mindset, you start doing things. When you have this mindset, hear me on this, that someone has said something, wrote something, did something against you. At that point in time, you have a mindset. Now, what is that mindset? That mindset is going to be a vengeful mindset. That means everything you do from that moment forward is going to be tainted. Tainted with what? Tainted with you wanting this person to pay for what they did. With your mindset, even if you don't want that person to pay for anything, your mindset is still tainted because you believe that that person has conspired against you somehow. And so everything you do is going to be tainted with that type of mindset, which means you're not producing anything holy. You're not. If you go cook dinner, you're going to flip over a piece of food and say, they did that on purpose. And you may flick it a little too hard. Right? Piece of the Teflon come off in the food. You don't care. That's what they get. Right? It will affect everything you do in your conversations with other people. It's going to be on your mind. You're not going to respond as you would usually respond. It will disturb your peace. It will disturb everything about you, and everything you do from that point is going to be tainted with the dirt of that type of reasoning. That means you're going to sow much unholiness. Much unholiness. You will. You know, the Lord said in Isaiah, at the beginning of Isaiah, that his own people, Israel, they're running around with wounds. He said a wound makes the whole head sick. To make your whole head sick means everything you think of is tainted. Because you're thinking, you're speaking, acting from a perspective that somebody was out to get you, that somebody wronged you. And everything you do is tainted. God said you should have had that healed because everything you're doing is corrupted. And there was a real punishment for that. He did not want to punish them for that. He wanted them to be healed of that. But when you're not healed of something like that, because everything you do is tainted, he must act. Reading the Word of God. If you perceive that anybody wronged you, you go reading the Word of God. You're going to pick out everything that tells a person who's bad in their lives. What good is that? You're going to pick out everything in the Bible to teach somebody how to guard themselves, how to protect themselves. That's what happens when somebody does you wrong. Your head is sick. And when your head is sick, it affects everything you do in life. Everything. And then you'll wonder, well, why is all this stuff not working out right? Because you're tainting everything you touch. Everything you do, you're sowing seeds that you wouldn't even eat yourself. You're not planting things right. You're not planting good seeds. You're planting tainted seeds. And if it's one thing we know for sure, God is not mocked. Whatsoever man soweth, that shall he reap also. If you sow a tainted seed, you're going to eat a tainted meal. That means your tomorrow is going to have tainted things coming back in it. And how many days have people gone on with bitterness in their hearts? They live this way, sowing something every single day. And then for years, they start eating bitterness. Everything has a bitterness to it. Right? Now, you know, you want that changed, only your Father can uproot that entire garden. Do you know he can do that? But you've got to realize that you're planting tainted seeds. Why would God undo anybody's garden, right, if you're going to continue to plant tainted seeds? He's not going to do that. Stop sowing tainted seeds, and your Father will give you new soil to plant on. He will instantly. He will. But you've got to notice it first. For example, if I were to have tainted seeds I was sowing in my own life, right? I'm just sowing seeds with every conversation and everybody because I have unforgiveness or bitterness or something like that in my life. If I don't realize that, the Lord cannot He cannot revitalize my garden. He can't do it because I'll just taint the new one, right? What he will do is begin to point out to you what you've done. And so how does he do that? He's not going to come and tell you face to face and talk, because if he did that, you would die. He's not doing that. Through life, you would find out about bitterness. Through life and through your study and reading of the Word, you would finally put it together after it stung enough that maybe you're the problem. And then you would look deep inside yourself, because God allowed all these things to happen. You would say, maybe it's me. And then you would begin to change. Listen, and once you changed, you would say, well, Lord, I need a healing. Everybody is not wrong. It's me. I'm the one that's wrong. Lord, fix me. I don't want this anymore. And you would start pursuing that healing from the Lord. You know what would happen? You would eventually discover the areas where...
Hey guys, this is Pastor Anthony here with a quick announcement. For those of you who would like to donate to Counselor Time and support the work that Mike has been doing at this ministry, this is your opportunity to do so. Just go to www.counselortime.com, click on the donation tab located on the left side of your screen. Once you've clicked on that, it will take you to a secondary page. On this page, if you look at the bottom where it says donations for Counselor Time, you will click on CoT Operations. Once you click on CoT Operations, it will bring you to the actual donation page located here. On this page, you can set up your donation through PayPal for a one-time only donation, or you can mark it right here to give monthly a donation to Mike and the CoT team. Of course, your donations will go to further the work that CoT has to update their equipment and any other needs that they need to sustain their ministry and operations at CoT. Once again, we thank you guys so much for being a part of Daily Excellence and for supporting Mike at Counselor Time. Now, back to Mike.
That are tainted in your life, the Lord will point those out and heal you of it. And then guess what? He's going to revitalize your entire harvest, your entire garden. And you'll plant a seed probably that same day, and that seed will grow, and you will partake of that seed instantly. Instantly. That's when your life changes. That's when you're used to, going to your car, and it doesn't start, or your tire blew up, or something weird happens. You're used to that. But then you go outside, and somebody is, got the wrong mail or something like that. It was actually yours, and it's a rebate you didn't expect. Now, honestly, some sort of blessing will come back your way. Some sort of blessing will always come, and they'll keep doing that. If you plant an untainted garden, you're going to be blessed a lot. You're going to just find yourself reaping from your sowing. That's what happened. But when it's tainted, folks, the Lord had already described a situation several times like that in the Bible. He said, it would be like you having holes in your pockets. You would go and make your money, but because holes are in your pockets, a situation would form every single time to take the last dime you had. Folks, are you hearing me? That means the problem is not with anybody else. The problem is with you. But once you realize that, there's no more loss. Many of us have been like that. I was like that one time. And it seemed like a situation was popping up every single time. What caught my attention was the problem would occur at a specific value, something I used to watch. And I said, there's no way in the world that happened twice. There's no way in the world that happens. So I went back and did inventory, and sure as you're born, it was an area that was tainting. It was tainting everything that was going forward. Lord, when I got that fixed, when that was done, when the Lord showed it to me, And I made a decision not to keep it and sought healing from him by the word of God. The healing came. There was no more darkness in that area of my life. I was totally free of that specific area, and it was just the way I thought of something. The way I thought of something was tainting everything I did in my conversations, professional life, private life, everything. When the Lord healed it, he really healed it. Everything changed. Somebody else's device would be broken. In all honesty, all I had to do was look at it, and all of a sudden it started working again. Well, what did you do? I don't know what I did. I just turned it on. That started happening a lot. Things would work perfectly in my proximity, but would not work for anybody else. That happened a lot, right? Longevity in certain items, and when you leave that item, it instantly just crumbles or something like that. That would happen a lot. That would happen a lot. That still happens today. That's what happens. When you're healed, you're good to go. You're good to go. When you're healed. So, be patient toward all men. Listen, see that none render evil for evil unto any man, but ever follow that which is good, both among yourselves and all men. Rejoice evermore. Pray without ceasing. Somebody asked me one time, they said, okay, Mike, how do you pray without ceasing? And who's going to rejoice forevermore? When you seek the Lord, and you know he's cleaning you up, you can't help but to rejoice. What do you rejoice in? Is it for yourself? No. It's because he's actually showing you things. You know, a lot of people rejoice because they receive the healing. I never rejoiced from that. I rejoiced that healing came from the Most High. It wasn't the healing that I rejoiced over. It was where the healing came from. Do you know that? That's eternal rejoicing. If you rejoice for just the healing, once you're healed and you live in that healing for a little bit, well, there's nothing else to rejoice about. I tend to look at the origin of things. I do. And I can rejoice over the source of that healing. I know where it came from. And that's my eternal source of rejoicing. That's how I can rejoice every single day. There's not a day that goes by. And sometimes it seemed my whole life fell apart. Right? But I can rejoice every single day. You know why? Not because of anything working out of my life. Nope. It's because of what the origin of my trials are, what the origin of my knowledge is. The origin of it is the Lord. The origin of it. Pray without ceasing. What is that? Can anybody realistically pray without ceasing? Yes or no? Anybody? Can it? It's 6:22, right? We're getting close to the end of this broadcast. But can anybody pray without ceasing? First of all, what is a prayer? Anybody know? A prayer is a petition, correct? Isn't that a petition of prayer? I found out something. If you go and study the nature of prayer, it's not only a petition, it's also what you meditate in. Do you know that? So it's just not asking for something. It's who you're communicating with. It's when you're in a certain type of meditation with someone of power and authority who's able to grant things, but also able to counsel you on things. To pray without ceasing is simply to have the Lord at the forefront of your mind and not the back of your mind. You know how we go through life when we make decisions, right? Then that decision we made somehow didn't work out right. We say, oh, Lord, please help me with this because I've tried everything. Oh, that's telltale giveaway. I've tried everything. Isn't that what we say? I've tried everything and it didn't work. Lord, please help me. Well, what that means is you tried everything without the Lord and it didn't work. To pray without ceasing is to be in constant communication with the Lord. This blessed my life when this was given to me. right? I introduced this same statement in 1998. All the years of CoT, I did the same thing. Keep Jesus at the forefront of your mind, not at the back of your mind. That means instead of him being your last resort, he should be your first resort. Listen to me. This blessed my life when this was given to me. Before you do something, right? Be in communication with the Lord. Say, okay, Lord, I'm about to do this. Do you know what happens when you talk like that? When you inform the Lord as to your plans and everything, I'm telling you that you received this counsel you never expected. You disclose that unto the Most High. The first thing you're going to do is make sure no nastiness is in it. Make sure it's fit for holiness. You will. When I began doing that, right, just the simple thought of saying, okay, Lord, I'm about to do this, Lord, I'm about to do it would open up. And I would say, oops, can't have that in this. There's no way I'm doing that. And there's no way this is going to impose this on that person. And it truly took me through a different process of doing everything. It did. There are certain things even right now I will not do because it will ultimately take from people. I'm not doing that. Can't do it. There are certain things I will do because it will actually assist a person. Very careful to do that. It must be able to assist, right? There are certain things that I can't do because I will benefit. And you know what? I'm not standing before the Lord. And then there'll be many things I did. Wasn't that the guy that did the COT? Oh, yes. And then I get up before the Lord asks me, what did you do for me? And I say, well, I put together an organization for you. And he'll say, well, did you benefit from that? And I say, yeah. He'll say, well, you did that for you. What did you do for me? That's not going to happen to me. Not going to happen to me. It's not. See, I found out something. There are a lot of things we say we do for the Lord, but then we are the benefactor of what we do. How's that for the Lord? Listen to me carefully. You better be the benefactor of all the labors here in this place, because that implies it's for the Lord. But I will not stand before the Most High, being the benefactor of everything I name I'm doing for the living God, yet I'm feeding myself, making myself fat on everything that's happening. That's not going to happen. When you have the Lord at the forefront of your mind, those things will not take place. You'll say, nope, not doing it. Or you'll do it differently. That's called integrity. That's what that's called. See, in Ezekiel, the Lord had a gripe about people who did things. And they became rich doing what they were doing. Supposedly for him, but they became rich. The Lord had an issue with that. Now, it may look good in one degree. There's no way I'm going to pass this world with a bunch of stuff stored up where I could have fed a lot of people. But I didn't. It was just sitting there. Nope. That doesn't happen, and I mean that. That's why I'm so weird. That's why my whole life is weird. Listen, it even takes a special person to put up with me because I'm weird. I'm one of those people I will give away everything I have for the sake of somebody else. That's just me. The Lord didn't call everybody into that area of life. That's just me. Because I will not dishonor Christ. Advocating for what he gave, yet I gave nothing. No. When you have the Lord at the forefront of your mind, what it does is it causes you to think about what you're doing. It makes your work even that much more authentic. It does. It really does. It makes it very authentic, just your conversation with the Lord. Here's the funny part. For one thing, you expose everything you're doing to him. And you look at it, and all of a sudden it's associated with Christ. Now, you're not going to associate something rotten with Christ, will you? Nope. No. You know how you have family members, so on and so forth, right? And I have a device I use for COT. And kids these days, they are just savvy with devices, right? Well, in this device, somebody took it upon themselves to just have a good time. Here's the problem, though. Now, you wouldn't think that's a problem, right? Sure, it's a problem. Do you know why? Because anything they do with that device is mirrored in the other systems for security and logging purposes. Everything here at COT must be logged. There's a history of years of every button pushed here at COT for long. It's a story to say. It'll be a story to somebody one day. But they used it and thought it was nothing. Now, because I do have Christ at the forefront of my mind, the first thing I thought of was decency. I knew it was a kid, but then I had to go and take a week to go and document everything this kid did, honestly, in that system, because they messed up the whole log story of what was going on in COT. Do you know why? As I began to put things together in COT, the Lord kept telling me, this is for somebody else. He's always told me that. Everything I do, this is for somebody else. In other words, somebody else will step right into COT and run this place. And it was everything I've done was all for them. Do you guys know that? The Lord keeps telling me that. So everything I do is for somebody else to manage, for somebody else to get, all the good credit and stuff for, right? I just work on the foundation. That's all. But it's important that things are kept clean. But this kid, when he did that, I said, well, why did you touch that device? Why did you go in there and do that? And they started crying. I said, well, no need to cry. Just tell me why. Well, I knew I shouldn't have. That's the first thing they said. I knew I shouldn't have, right? Because they already knew. But why would that kid say that? Because I know this kid would never say that. That's not the first line out of this kid's mouth. Normally, this kid will say, well, I just used it. What's the big deal? That's not what he said. He said, well, I know I shouldn't have. Anybody know what made that difference? When you have the Lord at the forefront of your mind, anything you commit is going to be a part of an anointing. It's going to carry that same anointing. That's a part of the whole of everything else. It's going to carry the anointing. So then that kid, being that kid, was convicted before they ever touched the button. They knew they shouldn't have. They did so anyway. This kid never cries and broke out crying. That was so funny. That's why I told the kid, don't cry. But the Lord's work is true. That means if you guys have the Lord at the forefront of your mind, and if anything you commit unto him is tampered with, the person who tampers with that, woe unto them. They're going to have a hard time dealing with it. See, some of you have things like homes that you did not commit to the Lord yet. And why would you commit that home to the Lord? That his work will be done in that home, that his will may be accomplished in the children, that his atmosphere may be ever present in your home, right? That his power and authority may exist there, so you stop having those creepy encounters. When you do that, when you commit what you have unto the Most High, because, by the way, you are committed to the Most High. You did that yourselves. Right? So why not commit your house and your things to the Most High? What that does is it keeps Satan from ever using it again. Satan can never touch anything that belongs to the kingdom of God. Do you guys know that? He can't touch it. He cannot touch it. That is hands off. But he can touch what belongs to you. If you slip one time, you allow him in. But if you're utilizing something of the kingdom, he cannot touch it. He can't touch it. That's hands off. He can't do it. Remember that. You already belong to the Lord. Some of you have these impossible scenarios sometimes. And I'll tell you the truth, if you would just commit your home and your doings unto the Lord, everything would change. See, that's when the Lord ceases to be a character in a book. And he becomes a living Christ to you and to your family and those around you. That's when evil stops running back and forth between your young ones. Kind of like a rebuke. A rebuke is something that a lot of people say. And then they wonder, why did my rebuke work? Because you just said it. Let me give you guys an example. Then I'll take a small break and come back. If I were to say, to rebuke Satan, right, for causing a ruckus between two people, and I rebuke that, and I'll walk off, and 5 minutes later, I see these two people talking. I say, wait a minute, aren't you the guy that talked about him yesterday? And then I walk off, and they get in a ruckus. Did I really rebuke Satan and his power to cause division in the first place? No, I didn't. I spoke it, but because I did not act on it, it nullified anything I spoke. And so division continues, right? You ever rebuke Satan, and that's what you do. You just rebuke him. But then somebody calls you on the phone. Somebody visits you, something happens, and you get out of source. What about those of you with kids? Your kids ever come home with a bad attitude? And you don't want that spirit in your house? And you rebuke that spirit? You rebuke the spirit of arguing and of violence and all that stuff? Did you notice something? Anybody ever get frustrated because you rebuked it, yet it still happened anyway? Aren't you wondering how it got through? How can you stand against something and it gets through? Aren't you wondering? Here we go. You get a phone call. You're on the phone. Somebody talks to you. Maybe it's maybe it's a power company. Maybe it's a water company. If they messed up on something, they get you irritated and aggravated, right? At the end of the conversation, you hang up the phone, you're mumbling to yourselves. Oh, they're just messing up. They took out extra $100 you needed, that $100 for something else. And they didn't mean to. Now they have to credit your account, but it takes about 8 days. And you're fired up when you get off the phone because they should be better than that. Well, guess what? You just opened the door for irritation to come right into your house and work. Whatever spirit was behind or in the middle of amplifying those emotions, you just gave it permission to work in your house. So no matter what you rebuke, it's working in your house. So your kids come home, and he's going to jump all over them. Why? Because you don't stand in a rebuke. When you rebuke something, you can say it all day. But let me share this with you. A rebuke is how you live your life and what stance you take. If you rebuke an argument, then stand against all arguments. And don't let that spirit in the house that would cause it. Do you hear me? That means you cannot be compromised. If you get compromised, you're the doorway for the whole house. You, the believer, whoever the believer is in the house, if you get compromised, you just let it into your house. Nothing can work in your house that cannot work through you because you're the believer in the home. And so anything that gets through you can also get to everybody else. Anything that works in you is going to work in everybody else. If you shut it down, it cannot work anymore. Do you hear me? It cannot work. It can't work. I talked to a gentleman about that one time, and he told me he didn't have enough strength to do that. And I said, do you love your kids? Yeah. And I reminded him, he told me about his life, how difficult this was. I said, do you want to keep your children from that? He said, yes. So I want you to think about something. If you don't fight with every ounce of who you are, your kids are going to repeat your life. You can stop that. You can stop that. I said, if you do it in love for them, it's a worthy sacrifice, isn't it? See, parents, you don't know this, but you've been given an awesome opportunity and you've been empowered to overcome all things. And let me show you how. Let me tell you how. If you love your children, of yourself, you can't get over this. You don't have enough strength to endure this. All this list goes on. But you do have enough love within yourself to lay down your life for your children, don't you? So lay down your life for your children. Lay down that thing for the sake of your children. Don't do it for you. Do it for them. Refuse passage. Refuse whatever it is trying to work in your children's life. You refuse it. You shut it down at the door. Do it for their sakes, knowing that if they can get through you, if they can work it in you, they're going to get to them. The reason why no one came to your rescue, the reasons are a few. Well, one of them is that you would be able to recognize and to shut things down from working in their lives. Do you not know that you're the end of a generational curse that has been all throughout your family? And if it were not for you, it would have passed directly to your kids. But because you went through a very special situation that wasn't so nice, God empowered you above all those around you and put a halt to it, because you forbid the same darkness that got to you to get to your kids. If you had not gone through anything, everything would have gotten to your kids. I tell you that so you can stop condemning yourselves and start walking in what the Lord has for you. Because it does not stop with that one thing. No. He put some things in you that Satan is intimidated by. That's why he's after you so much and after your household. So step up. Step up. Stop saying what you cannot do. And lay down your life for those you love. That doesn't mean to end your life. To lay down your life is to lay down something in your life. You know those things we say we can't get rid of? You can lay that down in your life. Lay that part of your life down. And whatever comes, it comes. But do it for the sake of your children, knowing that you're becoming a wall for them. Because when you overcome it, that same spirit of overcoming is going to be with them for the rest of their lives. How awesome is that? So through your victory, they are victorious. Why do you think the Lord would have it that when you fold up, it is so obvious in your household that everything has gone wrong? He's showing you something. That he put you here on this earth to put a halt to all of it. So step up. And don't think that strength is not in you. Remember something. It's not by your strength and your power, but by his strength and his power. You're the vessel that can usher in the power of the living God in that family. So step up. Step up. Somebody says, what about having a word from God of a missing child of 7 years? How can one bring that forth? Hold up. That is so good of a question. I knew somebody would ask one of those close to that. Okay, let me get this right. Somebody says, what about having a word from God of a missing child of 7 years? How can one bring that forth? So how can one get God to give them a word about where the child is? Let me share something with all of you guys. What often looks like a tragedy to the human eye in this world can be the greatest blessing to so many. We can't see it that way because we're born into a world of a specific belief. Now, number one, the father is directly over children. They belong to him, not the parents. They do. And the reason I'm taking this avenue is because if you only knew the folks who have had times with missing kids, right? Hear me on this. Some of you right now listening. Test 1, 2. Are you kidding? That hasn't happened. That's a new one, guys. That's a new mishap. See what I'm saying about those questions? All right, I trust you guys can hear me. My goodness. Now, do you guys see what just happened? Do you guys see what just happened? That was terrible, wasn't it? Was that not terrible? The sound went out, right? The sound just went out, went totally out, went totally out, went totally out. Okay, we're back. We're back, guys. We're back. That was an attempt and it didn't work. It just didn't work. Testing 1, 2. Okay, guys. See how that works? Do you guys see how that works? When you're really about to have a breakthrough, poof. That's what happens. Okay, anyway, we only have a few minutes. It's all right, though. That was a good question. You guys ready? That was software. That was something out of our control. It was. You guys have to admit, the timing was weird, right? We know what that was. We know what that was, period. You know that was the adversary, because that was a very sensitive question, right? So, that's why we're not losing any composure. We're going to go. All right. Could a person get a word from God concerning a child that's been missing for 7 years? Right? It's gone for 7 years. There are so many situations out there just like that. Right? So there's some things that we have to really hear. Number 1, all of your prayers. Listen, all of your prayers that are within God's will. All of them that are God's will, that are not selfish, will be answered. All of them. But why would a child go missing for 7 years? To make this short, I'll say this. There's some of you out there that were just like that missing child. And your life was pressed in a certain direction. And because of that, you ended up being the victory for so many people out there in the world. Had you stayed in any specific area, the outcome would not have been the same. So as it turns out, you guys that are adults now, that were also missing children back then, it was highly purposed. That is one scenario. Number two, sometimes the Lord will allow things to happen, right? And he has all of us as being inclusive into it. And what I mean by that, here's what I mean. This earth is inherently evil. It is. Not everybody in it's evil, but inherently evil. There's some bad people in this earth. Sometimes I've noticed something, right? Now, the first one I gave you is that somehow in God's plan, it is necessary for that to take place. But there's another one. You ready? The other one is this. Sometimes we will be in the middle of a mishap like that, so that we, listen very carefully, so that we, being pulled at by that mishap, right, will alter our lives in a truthful way for the sake of that lost one. And in so doing, salvation comes right in our direction because of somebody else's mishap. And then you end up being utilized for the solution for that mishap. Do you hear me? In other words, you wouldn't pray unless you had something to pray for. And if it were something extraordinary, you would pray extraordinarily. You would align your life in a way that nobody else would. You know what that's called? A reason for change. Do you hear me? A reason for change. But the Lord doesn't stop there. He will cause you to be a vessel of usage in this world for the glory of Christ and his name and the kingdom. He'll do that. That's the second one. Number 3, all too often, people do not respond through ordinary things. They just don't. They don't seem to get what's truly important through ordinary things, and so certain people go through extraordinary circumstances. They do. Extraordinary circumstances. Now again, all for the sake of salvation. All of it. Number 4, sometimes people have a calling that is so different that they truly have to be separated from all comfort in their youth. All comfort. I'll tell you something, if I had all comfort in my youth, there's just no way I would be what I am today. Some would say that's a good thing, right? But there'll be no way I am today if I had comfort in my youth. If I would have had comfort, right, I would have not been faced with heavy situations that have allowed me to reach people nobody else could reach. That would allow me to walk right in the middle of things that many people are frightened of. That would have strengthened me to gain an operational status in some pretty dark things. It's kind of like walking in the middle of a crowd full of vipers. You know, we wouldn't do that, but a person who had experience with vipers could walk in the middle of vipers. So that if vipers were to surround a person, only the person who had experience with those vipers could go in the middle of those vipers to extract somebody who needs to be extracted. And so sometimes separation from everything of comfort is necessary. Sometimes. Number 5. We don't know the future, but the Lord does. We don't know the future, the Lord does. Sometimes it's not meant for a person to go through certain times on this earth. Sometimes. And the biggest one, you ready? Until the Lord gives you the truth, don't stop praying. Do you hear me? Until the Lord gives you the truth, until he answers you, don't stop seeking the Lord. Don't stop praying. Don't stop seeking the Lord. Do you hear me? Don't you dare give up. Because listen to me. I'm so thankful for this question. It's probably why Satan doesn't want this answer. There was a time when it felt like, in my adult years, early adult years, it felt like people gave up on me. It did. It felt like that. And for 2 years of my life, it felt like everything was lost. It felt like, and it seemed like, and the conditions were like, the U.S. had given up. That's what it felt like. That everybody had given up. But the truth was they didn't. They did not. And in the time when it felt like everybody gave up, nobody should ever have to go through anything even close to that. But they didn't give up. They didn't. And because they didn't give up, resolve ultimately came 2 years later. 2 years later. Had they given up, I would not be here. but they didn't give up. When I found out they didn't give up, it altered everything. It altered so much. It really did. So I'm telling you now, don't ever give up until the Lord gives you an answer, or until that child is fully secure. Don't you dare give up. Don't give up on anybody. Listen to me. Not only that child, but don't give up on anybody. You may be the last lifeline they have. You may be. Don't give up. Keep praying in righteousness. Pursue things in truth. Do not give up. Somebody's in it's one of those sticky situations, and make sure, listen to me, when you have a situation like that, it's full of noise and full of wants, hear me on this. It's important that the Lord be your answer. He must be your whole answer, not half of it. First things first, right? You have a heart that child is in good hands. Okay? If that means the other person, so be it. But have a heart for the child. Do you hear me? Have a heart for the child. Number 2, again, don't give up on praying for the children. Do not give up. When you love someone like that, right? Never give up on praying. If it takes you the rest of your life, so be it. But never give up on those kids. Never give up. It will mean everything. Your Father in heaven will not ignore your heart's cry. Do you hear me? Your Father in heaven is aware of the entire situation. Your Father in heaven, he already resolved it. We don't know what he has resolved, so don't give up. You don't know if you're being used for something totally different than the child. You don't know that. But in some way and in some form, you will be used to bring glory to Christ. So stay within the path of Christ. Continue to pray. Don't give up on them. Never do that. Be a vessel of usage in this world in righteousness. And in these days, fight even the harder, the good fight of faith. Do that, and you will have the Lord's outcome. You want the Lord's outcome? You follow Christ carefully. I mean carefully. Rid yourself of all selfishness. Rid yourself of all selfishness. And let love be love. Follow him closely. You'll have the Lord's outcome. Follow Christ in a genuineness, please. Not just to retrieve a child. Don't follow him just for that. Recognize Christ for who he is and what he did. And then you ask him into that situation. And you walk with him. And you petition to him. Some of you don't know what your calling is. Do you not know that there are some people, this happens too often, that things like this happen just so they can petition. And they become that vessel by which the Lord's hand did work in this earth, and that was their entire calling. Do you know that? That's why you never give up. Don't do it out of selfishness. Do it out of truth, out of love for the child. Make sure there's no selfishness in it. Make sure that you have a heart for the child. Folks, we'll revisit this conversation. I can see that coming. But for now, I got to give the floor And everything else, the Pastor Paul, he's already on. We got delayed. I want to say God bless everybody out there. I'm going to join you all later on, possibly tonight here at COT, okay? God bless you guys. We'll see you next time.